Hey guys, what's up? So today I'm going to be doing some comparisons with the Phantom 3 Standard and deciding if it's really worth it in 2019 or 2020 or not. So I've had my Phantom 3 Standard for a few years now, so it's treated me pretty well, but there are a couple things that get pretty annoying about it, like the range, for example, is only 0.6 miles, and that's in perfect conditions, with like no interference, nothing blocking the signal. Just like out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of a desert or whatever, where there's nothing that interferes with it, you'll get 0.6 miles, whereas the Mavic Mini in the same situations will do 2.5 miles. So I'm going to be mostly comparing it to the Mavic Mini, as that's the newest drone DJI has released, and it seems like it's a pretty close competitor to the Phantom. So some people really care about speed, depending on what they're doing. So the Phantom 3 Standard is a little bit faster at 16 meters per second compared to the Mavic Mini's 13 meters per second. And for the Phantom 3 Standard to hit its top speed, it needs to be in ATTI mode or ATTI mode. It's attitude mode, I'm not really sure what that means, but for the Mavic Mini to hit its top speed, you just need to put it in sport mode. I think you can have it in GPS mode. I'm not 100% sure on that. The flight time, though, on the Mavic Mini is 5 minutes better, with only a 2400 milliamp hour battery versus the Phantom 3 Standard's 4480 milliamp hour battery that lasts 25 minutes. And the accuracy of hover is much better on the Mavic Mini. On the Phantom 3 Standard, vertically, it'll hover within about 20 inches of accuracy, and horizontally, it'll hover within about 60 inches of accuracy. So it moves around quite a bit, and I do notice that. It does tend to be more accurate than those numbers. It's normally moving around within about a foot, but you really can see it moving around, even in lighter winds. Whereas the Mavic Mini will only move around about 4 inches at worst, and that's for vertical and horizontal. Both have 2.7K cameras that will film at 30 frames per second, and then they have just tons of other options, whether you want to do like 1080-60 or whatever. Both are 12 megapixel sensors, so they really should look pretty much identical, even though the Mavic Mini's is a lot smaller. One thing that is very different is just the sheer size. I couldn't find the exact size of the Phantom 3 Standard. I mean, I didn't look very hard, but I just measured it myself. It's roughly a foot by a foot, and then height is about 8 inches. And the Mavic Mini, with its propellers out, is 10 by 12 by 2 inches. So even with propellers out, it's a little bit smaller, definitely a lot less tall. But with the propellers folded in, it's only 5.5 by 3 by 2, so you can fit it right in your pocket. DJI advertises that it's about the size of a cell phone. And along with that big size difference, there's also the weight difference. The Phantom 3 Standard with the battery weighs 1,216 grams. So that's about, Alexa, how many pounds is 1,216 grams?
1,216 grams is 2 pounds 11 ounces.
So this weighs 2 pounds and 11 ounces with the battery. The FAA's rules are if your drone weighs more than 249 grams, so 250 grams or more, you have to register it. So DJI looked at that and said, we want to make this easy, we don't want people to have to register their drones, so they purposely made the drone 249 grams. So it's 1 gram below needing to be registered, which allows you to have a little more freedom when flying. You don't need to obey by the FAA's rules as much. Both do a live feed to the device of your choice using the DJI app at 720p in 30 frames per second. Another thing I want to cover is the controller. This is the one with the Phantom 3 Standard. It's huge. It's very bulky. It's just awkward to use. The thing that holds your phone is really bad. Like, it's horrific. I can't even explain how bad this is. I tried putting my iPad mini on here, and it couldn't even hold it, because it just clamps on. It just clamps on to the bar there. It spins like this, and it just uses 2 screws to clamp it on. The plastic is like bending, like it's gonna break soon. In fact, there's already a small crack in it. Luckily, the new one, the controller is a lot smaller, and the system that it uses to hold your phone is a lot better, and it makes it all kind of just into one single thing, instead of having this giant thing sticking up with your phone sitting in it. And the return to home feature is a lot more accurate. With the Phantom, it'll do, I think, about 25 feet of accuracy on the return to home, whereas the Mavic Mini, If it's like the Mavic, it is only a matter of inches. So like the battery for the Phantom 3 Standard, it's big, it's heavy. To give you an idea, I'll drop it on my desk from about 2 inches. So, yeah. Now for pricing. The Phantom 3 Standard, it's not sold new anymore. You might be able to find it new somewhere, but DJI, Amazon, they don't sell it new. But when it was new, I want to say it was about $400, which is the price of the Mavic Mini. You can find it used for $300 to $400 on eBay. If you're lucky, you get it less than that by bidding, but if you want to do a buy it now, you have to pay $300 to $400. And the Mavic Mini starts at about $400. The propellers on the Phantom, they come in this little bag. It's like a microfiber cloth kind of material, and they don't like to come out of here very well. And then once they do come out, they fall out or they get stuck in the thing, and they're just annoying. Putting them on, taking them off, putting them back in the bag every single time you fly, it's kind of annoying. But the Mavic Mini, you don't have to do that. The propellers are just on there. I'm assuming they're removable in case you break one, but you don't have to take them off. I still haven't, I'm still on the original propellers. These still have the plastic wrapping on them. I'm still using the original set. They're getting a little bit worn, but they still look pretty good. I would say the Mavic Mini probably has less parts to break too. Like this whole gimbal, it's a lot bigger and bulkier, and I would assume it's going to be easier to break than the Mavic Minis, but I don't know because they're both 3-axis gimbals. One thing I do love about the Phantom is that it really looks like a drone. Like if you see this flying around, you know this is like a proper drone. If you see a Mavic Mini flying around, it just looks like a little quadcopter. So there's kind of a trade-off there, but I mean, I don't think that would be a make or break thing. So one other thing I forgot to mention is the Mavic Mini has a sensor on the bottom, so it can detect its height. And I don't know if it has sensors on the sides or not. If you are about to run into something, I don't know if it's going to stop itself or not. I can't seem to find anything that says that it does have those sensors. All I know is that it has one on the bottom to see how high it is and help it stay a little more stable that way. But I'm just not totally sure. So in my opinion, is it worth getting the Phantom 3 Standard in 2019 or 2020? No, it's not. Get the Mavic Mini. It's a lot smaller, more portable, hovers better flight time, same camera. It's a little bit slower, but not by much. The range is massively better. The controller is a lot better. The DJI app has a lot of cool features for it that I don't think it has for the Phantom 3 Standard. Like you can edit clips, you can post clips, and there's like a whole, they're trying to make like a social media type thing out of the drone. So if you're into that, that would be cool to have. There's also the benefit of not having to register the Mavic Mini. You don't have to worry about having to follow the FAA laws and all that. So unless you're after speed, which is only 3 meters per second faster, go with the Mavic Mini. It's better in every way. Now another good question is, if you have a Phantom 3 Standard, is it worth upgrading to a Mavic Mini? I want to upgrade, but because these aren't worth a ton, like, I think 300, I don't know if I get 300 for it. I know a lot of them are selling for 300 to 400, but there's going to be occasional listings that are going to be lower than that. If you get one for 250, I would say it might be worth it over the Mavic Mini. But if you're paying 300 to 400, just get the Mavic Mini. But me personally, I don't think I'd be able to sell this for 300. So, I mean, it's going to be another 150. I'd have to do some saving up. And it might be worth it. It really depends. I don't use this too often, and for what I do with it, it works fine. I just wish it had better range, and I don't think it's worth paying $150 to gain range. But you never know. It depends on the person, depends on who's buying, depends on what their needs are, and if it's worth it for you, go ahead, upgrade. If not, just stick with a Phantom 3 Standard. But if you don't own either, get the Mavic Mini, because you don't want to buy a used Phantom for $100 less than you can get a brand new Mavic Mini with better features. So I hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.